So Fannie Mae just updated their 2022 forecast for the housing market. Believe it or not, there's actually some good news for homebuyers. In this video, I'll hit the highlights of that forecast. But first, let's start out with a little bit of bad news. They're predicting the Fed to raise the Fed fund rates a total of 100 basis points from March to July. They're also now predicting a 50 basis points bump in March instead of a 25 basis points bump. Now keep in mind that the Fed doesn't set mortgage rates and that a raise in the Fed fund rates doesn't necessarily mean higher mortgage rates, but oftentimes they'll move in the same direction. The good news is the market has already adjusted in anticipation of the Fed raising rates, so we may not see a huge spike in mortgage rates from where they are now. Some other good news for homebuyers is that they're expecting housing values to go up at a slower pace than they did last year. Now they're still predicting a 7.6 increase in values, but for some perspective, in the last quarter of 2021, the values increased 17.3%. Now inventory in most markets is still an issue, but some really good news for homebuyers on that in a bit. Now because of higher mortgage rates, refinances are starting to take a backseat to purchase money mortgages, which is no surprise. Fannie Mae says that only about 16% of current loans have a possible rate and term refinance incentive. Now in English, that means that only about 16% of current loans would benefit from a rate and term refinance where they try to get their rate or term lowered. They're still predicting about $2 trillion in volume for purchase mortgages and about $1.1 trillion in refinances. But here's the really good news for homebuyers and even for some renters. It looks like we're slowly building our way out of this inventory crisis, which is phenomenal news. Most of the inventory issues we have right now are because we simply did not build enough houses in the last decade. From 2010 to 2019, we built about half the amount of new homes that we normally build here in the United States, mostly because there just wasn't a lot of building for a few years after the Great Recession had started. Now the issue with that is that during the same time period, we also added about 20 million people to the adult population in the United States. Now presently, because of supply chain issues and labor market issues, it's taking longer to build houses, so it may take a bit to feel the effects of the increase in construction. But new home sales in December of 2021 was at its highest level since 2008, and multifamily construction is at its highest mark since 1974. We still have a long ways to go in most markets, but that's some pretty promising news. It's going to be interesting to see how Russia invading the Ukraine affects global markets, so that's something that you definitely need to keep your eye on. Hope this helps. If you're interested in learning more about mortgages, the real estate market, and credit, consider subscribing, and we'll see y'all next time.